Emma wiped the sweat from her brow as she balanced 3 plates on her arm. The small-town diner buzzed with the chatter of regulars and the clinking of silverware. She flashed a warm smile at the elderly couple in booth 6 while setting down their usual order. "Here you go, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. 1 stack of blueberry pancakes with crispy bacon for you, sir, and a veggie omelet with extra cheese for the lovely lady, just the way you like it." Mrs. Johnson beamed at Emma. "Thank you, dear. You always remember our favorites." Emma's eyes crinkled with genuine affection. "How could I forget? You two brighten my mornings." As she turned to head back to the kitchen, Emma noticed a young family struggling with their restless toddler. The mother looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, while the father nervously counted change from his pocket. Emma's heart went out to them. She approached their table with a gentle smile. "Hi, can I start you off with some coffee?" The mother nodded gratefully. "Yes, please. That would be wonderful." As Emma poured the steaming coffee, she caught the parents whispering anxiously, their eyes darting to the menu prices. A familiar ache settled in her chest, reminding her of her own family's struggles. "You know," Emma said softly, "our lunch special today is really filling. It comes with soup, a sandwich, and a slice of pie. Perfect for sharing." The father's shoulders relaxed slightly. "That sounds good. We'll take that, please." Emma jotted down the order and headed to the kitchen. As she waited for the food, she glanced at the tip jar on the counter. It wasn't much, but she'd been saving every extra cent for her nursing school tuition. But right now this family needed it more. When they finished their meal, Emma brought the check with a smile. "I hope you enjoyed everything and don't worry about the pie, it's on the house today. We had a few extra slices that needed eating." The mother's eyes filled with tears of gratitude. "Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to us." As the family left, Emma slipped the tip money into their bill folder. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to cover the meal and leave them a little extra. Her dream of nursing school might have to wait a bit longer, but the warmth in her heart told her it was worth it. Emma watched the family of 4 from the corner of her eye as she refilled coffee cups at a nearby table. The parents spoke in hushed tones, their faces etched with worry as they leaned over the menu. Their 2 young children, blissfully unaware of their parents' concerns, colored the paper placemats with thick crayons. With a heavy heart, Emma approached their table. "Have you decided what you'd like to order?" she asked gently. The father cleared his throat. We're still deciding. Maybe just some more water for now." Emma nodded, understanding their silent struggle. She had been there not long ago. As she refilled their water glasses, an idea formed in her mind. Back at the counter, Emma pulled out her worn wallet, counting the day's tips meant for her nursing school fund. With a deep breath, she made her decision. Emma discreetly asked her manager for the family's bill and paid it in full, adding a generous tip for herself to avoid suspicion. Then she scribbled a note on a clean napkin. "Your meal has been taken care of. Everyone needs a little kindness sometimes. Pay it forward when you can. Enjoy your day." Her heart raced as she approached the family's table one last time. She placed the note down as she cleared their empty plates. "I hope you all enjoyed your meal," she said with a warm smile before quickly walking away. As Emma busied herself with other tasks, she couldn't help but reflect on her own situation. Her dream of becoming a nurse felt so close, yet so far. Every penny she saved brought her one step closer to affording tuition, but unexpected expenses always seemed to pop up. She thought of her mother, who had always encouraged her to follow her dreams. "You have a gift for caring, Emma," she used to say. "The world needs more nurses like you." A lump formed in Emma's throat as she remembered her mother's words. The money she had just spent on the family's meal could have gone toward her textbooks or uniforms. But when she glanced back at the table and saw the relief and joy on their faces as they read her note, she knew she had made the right choice. Emma's financial struggles were far from over, but in that moment she felt rich in a way money could never buy. Her dream of becoming a nurse wasn't just about earning a degree or landing a job, it was about helping people in both big and small ways. Today she had done just that. As the family finished their meal, the mother reached for the check, but her hand froze when she saw the handwritten note on the napkin. She picked it up, her eyes widening as she read Emma's message. "John," she whispered, her voice trembling. She passed the note to her husband, who read it in disbelief. His eyes welled up with tears and he looked around the restaurant, trying to spot the person who had shown them such kindness, but Emma had quietly retreated to the kitchen. "Mommy, why are you crying?" their little daughter asked, her small face etched with concern. The mother wiped her eyes and smiled. "These are happy tears, sweetheart. Someone did something very kind for us today." As the family gathered their things to leave, their faces were visibly brighter. The weight that had burdened them when they walked in seemed to have lifted. The father held the door open for his wife and children, pausing to glance around the diner one last time. Though he couldn't see Emma from her hiding spot in the kitchen, he nodded in gratitude, acknowledging the invisible hand that had touched their lives. From the kitchen, Emma peeked out to watch the family leave. She saw the bounce in their step, the way the parents held hands as they walked to their car, and the children skipping alongside them, their earlier restlessness replaced by contentment. A warmth spread through Emma's chest. She may have given up a portion of her savings, but the joy of helping others filled her with a sense of purpose no amount of money could ever match. It reminded her why she wanted to become a nurse in the first place, to make a difference in people's lives, one small act of kindness at a time. As she returned to her duties, Emma felt a renewed sense of determination. The road to achieving her dreams might be challenging, but moments like these made every sacrifice worthwhile. She hummed softly to herself as she cleared the tables, her heart light with the knowledge that she had brought a little hope to someone else's world today. The soft chime above the diner's door rang as an elderly gentleman entered. His silver hair was neatly combed, and though his suit was simple, it was impeccably pressed. He moved with a quiet dignity, his sharp eyes taking in every detail of the bustling diner. Emma, wiping down a table, stood up and smiled warmly. "Welcome to Rosie's Diner, sir. Please sit wherever you'd like." The man nodded politely and chose a small booth by the window. As Emma approached with a menu, he introduced himself. "Good afternoon, young lady. I'm Mr. Thompson." "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Thompson." "I'm Emma," she replied, handing him the menu. "Can I start you off with some coffee?" "Just water for now, thank you," Mr. Thompson said, his eyes crinkling at the corners as he smiled. While Emma fetched his water, Mr. Thompson observed the restaurant, watching as she stopped to chat with an elderly couple, gently touching the woman's shoulder and laughing at something the man had said. Her genuine warmth was evident in every interaction. When Emma returned with his water, Mr. Thompson ordered a simple bowl of soup and a slice of toast. "Not too hungry today?" Emma asked with a hint of concern in her voice. "Oh, this is more than enough for me, dear," he reassured her. "But tell me, how's your day going?" Emma's face lit up. "It's been wonderful, actually. You know, sometimes the simplest things can make a big difference in someone's day." As she spoke, Mr. Thompson noticed her glance toward the door where the family she had helped earlier had been sitting. His curiosity piqued, he gently prodded, "Oh? How so?" Emma hesitated for a moment, then said softly, "Well, I just think a little kindness can go a long way. Sometimes people are going through tough times, and even the smallest gesture can give them hope." Mr. Thompson nodded thoughtfully. "That's a beautiful outlook, Emma. The world could use more people like you." As Emma placed the next order, Mr. Thompson continued to watch her with quiet admiration. He observed how she refilled coffee cups without being asked, offered a sympathetic ear to a stressed businessman, and sneaked an extra cookie onto a child's plate with a playful wink. As Mr. Thompson finished his modest meal, he discreetly reached into the pocket of his jacket and pulled out a small notebook and pen. His aged hands moved swiftly across the paper, writing a heartfelt message with a gentle smile. He folded the note and tucked it under his empty water glass, leaving behind a check he had prepared earlier. Rising from his seat, Mr. Thompson caught Emma's attention with a warm nod before heading toward the door. The bell above the entrance chimed softly as he stepped out into the afternoon sun, leaving behind a surprise that would forever change Emma's life. Busy attending to other customers, Emma didn't immediately notice Mr. Thompson's departure. It wasn't until she returned to his table to clear it that she saw the folded piece of paper peeking out from under the glass. Curious, she picked it up and unfolded it, her eyes widening as she read the carefully penned words. "Dear Emma, your kindness and compassion have deeply touched my heart. In a world that can often be cold and indifferent, you shine like a beacon of hope. Please accept this gift as a token of my appreciation. Use it to pursue your dreams and continue spreading kindness in whatever way you see fit. The world needs more people like you. Sincerely, Mr. Thompson." Emma's hands trembled as she reached for the check beneath the note. Her breath caught in her throat when she saw the amount. $1 million. She blinked rapidly, convinced she was imagining things. But no matter how many times she looked away and back, the zeros remained. $1 million. It was more money than she had ever imagined having in her hands. Emma's legs felt weak, and she sank into the booth where Mr. Thompson had sat just moments before. Her mind raced, overwhelmed by disbelief and shock. This couldn't be real. Things like this don't happen in real life, especially not to small-town waitresses with big dreams and empty bank accounts. Tears welled up in her eyes as the enormity of the moment began to sink in. With shaking hands, she clutched the check and the note to her chest, her heart pounding with a whirlwind of excitement and disbelief. Her fingers trembled as she dialed Sarah's number, her voice unsteady with emotion when Sarah picked up. "Sarah, you won't believe what just happened. Can you come over? I need to talk to you in person." Hearing the urgency in Emma's voice, Sarah didn't hesitate. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. When Sarah burst through the door of Emma's apartment, her eyes were wide with concern. "What's going on? Are you okay?" Emma sat on her worn-out couch, the check and note clenched tightly in her hands. She looked up at Sarah, her eyes brimming with tears. "Something unbelievable happened at work today," she said softly. As Sarah settled beside her, Emma recounted the events at the diner, telling her about Mr. Thompson, his gentle demeanor, and the unimaginable gift he had left behind. Sarah listened, her mouth falling open in astonishment as Emma handed her the check and the heartfelt note. "Oh my God, Emma," Sarah gasped, her voice filled with awe. This is incredible. It's like something out of a movie." Emma nodded, still in disbelief. "I know. I keep pinching myself, thinking I'm going to wake up from this dream." Sarah took Emma's hands in hers, her eyes shining with excitement. "Emma, don't you see? This is your chance. You can finally go to nursing school." Emma stared at Sarah, the weight of her friend's words settling over her. The future she had always dreamed of, becoming a nurse, making a difference in people's lives, was now within her reach. Tears of gratitude and joy filled her eyes as she realized that this extraordinary moment had given her not just a financial gift, but the opportunity to truly follow her heart. Emma's eyes widened as the realization hit her, breaking through the shock that had enveloped her. She hadn't even begun to consider the possibilities that this gift had opened up. "You're right," she whispered, a smile slowly spreading across her face. "I could actually do this. I could become a nurse." Sarah squeezed her hands encouragingly. "Of course you can. That's what you've been working toward all this time. Mr. Thompson saw your kindness and compassion. Those very qualities are what will make you an incredible nurse." Tears of joy streamed down Emma's cheeks as she embraced her friend. "I can't believe this is happening," she murmured. As they pulled apart, Sarah's expression grew serious. "Emma, promise me you'll use this money for your education. This is your chance to fulfill your dream." Emma nodded, her determination strengthening. "I will, Sarah. I promise. I'm going to apply to nursing school right away." With newfound resolve and the financial means to pursue her dream, Emma took her first steps toward her new future. She spent hours researching nursing programs, carefully selecting one that would allow her to continue working part-time at the diner. After submitting her application, the wait felt endless, but after several weeks of anxious anticipation, the news she had been hoping for finally arrived. She had been accepted into the nursing program. On the day Emma set foot on the college campus for her first class, her heart raced with a mix of excitement and nerves. She clutched her textbooks to her chest, taking a deep breath before stepping into the classroom. As she settled into her seat, she couldn't help but smile, thinking about how far she had come. However, the reality of balancing work and school soon set in. Emma's days became a whirlwind of activity. She woke up early to study before morning classes, rushed to the diner for her afternoon shift, and returned home late at night to tackle her assignments. The workload was intense, and there were moments when Emma felt completely overwhelmed. One particularly challenging evening, she found herself struggling to stay awake during her late-night study session. Her eyes kept closing as she tried to memorize complex medical terms. Frustrated, she pushed the book away and buried her face in her hands. "I can do this," Emma whispered to herself, fighting back tears of exhaustion. "I have to do this." She thought about Mr. Thompson's kindness and the opportunity he had given her. She remembered the struggling families at the diner and how much she wanted to help people like them. Taking a deep breath, Emma picked up her book again, determined to push through her fatigue. As the weeks passed, Emma developed a routine that helped her manage her responsibilities. She learned to maximize her study time between classes and during breaks at the diner. Her coworkers, aware of her dedication, often covered for her when she needed extra time to prepare for exams. Despite the challenges, Emma found herself thriving in her classes. Her natural empathy and genuine care for others made her stand out among her peers. Her professors noticed her dedication and passion for nursing, often praising her strong work ethic. As the semester progressed, Emma's hard work began to pay off. Her commitment to her studies shone through in her assignments and exams. She approached each task with the same care and attention she showed to her customers at the diner, and it didn't go unnoticed. One day, after a particularly challenging anatomy exam, Dr. Martinez, one of her professors, pulled her aside. His eyes glowed with pride as he spoke. "Emma," he said, "I wanted to commend you for your exceptional performance. Your understanding of the material is impressive, but what truly sets you apart is your genuine passion for patient care." Emma felt warmth spread through her chest at Dr. Martinez's words. "Thank you, Dr. Martinez," she replied, her voice filled with emotion. "I'm just trying my best." As word of Emma's academic success spread, her classmates began seeking her out for study sessions. They admired not only her knowledge but also her patient and thoughtful approach to helping others understand difficult concepts. Despite her growing success in school, Emma never forgot her roots. She continued working at the diner, balancing her shifts with her class schedule. Her regular customers noticed the change in her, the new confidence that seemed to radiate from within. "You're really doing it, aren't you?" Mrs. Johnson, a longtime customer, remarked one day as Emma refilled her coffee cup. "Following your dreams and all that." Emma smiled, her eyes shining with determination. "I am, Mrs. Johnson. It's not easy, but it's worth every minute." Her modest earnings from the diner helped cover her living expenses and additional study materials. Emma was careful with her finances, always mindful of the incredible gift she had received and her promise to pay it forward. During slow periods at the restaurant, she balanced her textbooks on the counter, squeezing in study time between customers. Emma felt proud of her journey. She was working hard, yes, but she was also proving to herself and others that dreams could come true with perseverance and a bit of kindness. As Emma progressed in her nursing studies, she felt an increasing desire to put her new knowledge into practice. She heard about a local free clinic that served underprivileged members of the community and decided to volunteer there during her free time. On her first day at the clinic, Emma's heart raced with excitement and nerves. The small waiting room was packed with people of all ages, many looking tired and worried. Emma took a deep breath and reminded herself why she was there, to help those in need. Dr. Patel, the clinic's chief physician, greeted Emma warmly. "We're so happy to have you here, Emma. Your professors speak very highly of you." Emma blushed at the compliment. "Thank you, Dr. Patel. I'm happy to help in any way I can." As the day went on, Emma assisted with various tasks, taking vital signs, organizing patient files, and even observing a few basic procedures. But it was her interactions with the patients that truly made a difference. A young mother came in with her feverish child, the little boy clinging to her, clearly scared. Emma knelt down to the child's level with a gentle smile. "Hi there, little one," she said softly. "I know you're not feeling well, but we're going to help you feel better. Can you show me your favorite toy?" The child sniffled and held up a worn teddy bear. Emma's eyes lit up. "Wow, what a special friend you have there. Do you think your bear would like to listen to his heartbeat with me?" The boy nodded shyly, and Emma carefully placed the stethoscope on the bear's chest before letting the boy listen. The simple act of kindness calmed the child, making the exam much easier for everyone. As the weeks passed, Emma became a familiar and comforting presence at the clinic. Her gentle demeanor and growing medical knowledge made her an asset to the team and a favorite among the patients. One day, an elderly man came in, complaining of dizziness. While checking his blood pressure, Emma noticed his trembling hands. "Sir, have you eaten today?" she asked gently. The man looked away embarrassed. "I ran out of groceries yesterday," he admitted quietly. Without hesitation, Emma spoke to Dr. Patel and arranged for the man to receive some healthy snacks from the clinic's small pantry. She also provided him with information on local food banks and assistance programs. As Emma continued to balance her studies, work at the diner, and volunteer efforts at the clinic, she felt a renewed sense of purpose and hope for her future. Her days were long and often exhausting, but the satisfaction she gained from helping others made every moment worthwhile. At nursing school, Emma's dedication and natural talent shone through. Her professors frequently praised her work, and her classmates sought her out for study groups. Emma's genuine passion for learning and her ability to explain complex concepts in simple terms made her a valuable asset to her peers. Despite her demanding schedule, Emma never lost sight of her goal. She often found herself smiling as she walked to class, her arms full of textbooks. The path to becoming a nurse was challenging, but Emma knew in her heart that it was exactly where she was meant to be. Emma's regular customers couldn't help but notice a new lightness in her steps, a spark of excitement in her voice as she shared stories from nursing school and the clinic. Her eyes shone with enthusiasm, and many of the patrons who had known her for years swelled with pride at her accomplishments. "You're going to make an incredible nurse, Emma," Mrs. Johnson, one of her longtime regulars, remarked one day as Emma poured her a fresh cup of coffee. "You've always had such a natural gift for caring for others." Emma blushed, a rush of warmth filling her. "Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. That means the world to me," she replied, her voice full of genuine appreciation. As the weeks passed, Emma grew more confident in her abilities at the clinic. The staff entrusted her with more responsibilities, and the grateful smiles of the patients she helped filled her with a profound sense of joy and purpose. One evening, after an especially fulfilling shift, Emma paused outside the clinic and looked up at the vast, starry sky. A deep sense of contentment washed over her as she reflected on how far she had come since the day she'd received that life-changing gift from Mr. Thompson. Quietly, she thanked him once again, her heart brimming with gratitude and hope. She knew the road ahead would be tough, but for the first time in a long time, Emma felt ready for it. Her dream of becoming a nurse, of making a difference in people's lives, now seemed within reach. The day of her graduation arrived, wrapped in a bittersweet mix of excitement and nostalgia. As she slipped into her cap and gown, Emma couldn't help but marvel at how far she had traveled. The small restaurant where she used to work now seemed like a distant memory. The ceremony passed in a whirlwind of emotions, and when her name was finally called, Emma walked across the stage with her head held high, accepting her diploma as the crowd erupted in applause. From the audience, she spotted her friends and former co-workers from the restaurant cheering for her. Tears welled in her eyes as the dean announced, "Emma de la Cruz graduating with honors," and the applause intensified. After the ceremony, Emma was surrounded by well-wishers. Her best friend Sarah hugged her tightly and whispered, "I'm so proud of you." As the celebrations quieted down, Emma found a rare moment of solitude. A profound sense of accomplishment settled over her, but along with it, a whisper of something more, a desire to push further. Her years in nursing school had opened her eyes to the vastness of the medical field, and she felt a pull to explore it even more deeply. That night, sitting in her small apartment, surrounded by congratulatory cards and bouquets of flowers, Emma made a decision that would shape her future. She opened her laptop and began researching medical schools. "I can do more," she said quietly, her voice brimming with determination. "I can help even more people." Over the following weeks, Emma threw herself into the grueling process of applying to medical schools. She studied tirelessly for the MCAT, wrote heartfelt personal statements, and secured glowing letters of recommendation from her professors. Each step brought its own set of challenges, but with them came a surge of excitement. One afternoon, while volunteering at the clinic, Emma shared her plans with Dr. Anderson, a kind-hearted physician she had grown to admire. "Medical school, Emma?" Dr. Anderson smiled warmly. "That's incredible. You have such a natural gift for this work, your patience, your empathy. I know you'll make a fantastic doctor." Emma blushed at the praise. "Thank you, Dr. Anderson," she said softly. "I just feel like I can do more, you know? I want to be able to help people in every way possible." As Emma continued working on her applications, she often thought about Mr. Thompson and the generous gift he had given her. She hoped, wherever he was, that he was proud of how she had used his kindness to fuel her dreams and help others. Her heart raced when she finally opened the email from her top-choice medical school. Her hands trembled as she read the first line. "Congratulations, we are pleased to offer you admission." A joyful scream escaped her, tears streaming down her face. All the hard work, the late nights, the sacrifices, it had all been worth it. The next few months flew by in a blur of preparations. Emma said emotional goodbyes to her colleagues at the clinic and the restaurant, promising to stay in touch. She packed up her small apartment, her excitement and nervousness mingling as she prepared for this new chapter of her life. On her first day of medical school, Emma stood in front of the university's towering building, taking a deep breath to calm her nerves. As she entered the classroom, she was struck by the diversity of her classmates. People from all walks of life, united by the same passion to heal. The first few weeks were overwhelming. Emma found herself buried in textbooks, struggling to keep up with the intense workload. Late nights became the norm as she pored over anatomy charts and biochemistry formulas. There were moments when she questioned whether she was cut out for this, moments of doubt that crept in during the quiet hours. But then she would remember the patients she had helped as a nurse, their faces, their stories, and she would find a renewed sense of purpose. Emma had come so far, but the journey was only just beginning. With every challenge, she was reminded of her strength, her perseverance, and the kindness that had brought her to this point. The road ahead was long, but she was ready to walk it. Not just for herself, but for all the people she had yet to help. Emma knew, deep in her heart, that this was where she was meant to be. Emma's regular customers quickly noticed a newfound energy in her step. She eagerly shared her experiences from nursing school and the clinic, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Many of them, who had known Emma for years, expressed their pride in her accomplishments. "You're going to be an incredible nurse, Emma," said Mrs. Johnson, a longtime patron. "You've always had a gift for caring for others." Emma blushed with pride at the compliment. "Thank you, Mrs. Johnson, that means so much to me." As the weeks passed, Emma's confidence in her abilities at the clinic grew. She was entrusted with more responsibilities, and the grateful smiles of the patients she helped filled her with joy. One evening, after a particularly rewarding shift, Emma stopped to gaze at the starry sky. A wave of contentment washed over her as she reflected on how far she had come since that life-changing gift from Mr. Thompson. Silently, she thanked him once more for the opportunity he'd given her. With her heart full of gratitude and hope, Emma headed home, eager for what the future held. She knew the road ahead would have its challenges, but for the first time in a long while, she felt ready to face them. Emma truly believed her dream of becoming a nurse and making a difference in people's lives was within reach. Graduation day arrived, bringing a mix of excitement and nostalgia. As Emma donned her cap and gown, she couldn't help but think of the long journey she had taken to get there. The small restaurant where she once worked now seemed like a distant memory. The ceremony blurred by in a whirlwind of emotions. When her name was called, Emma walked across the stage with her head held high. She spotted her friends and former co-workers from the restaurant cheering in the audience, and tears of joy welled in her eyes. "Emma de la Cruz graduating with honors," the dean announced, and the crowd erupted into applause. After the ceremony, Emma was surrounded by supporters. Her best friend Sarah hugged her tightly, whispering, "I'm so proud of you." As the celebrations wound down, Emma found a quiet moment to reflect. She felt a profound sense of accomplishment but also a stirring desire for more. Nursing school had opened her eyes to the vast world of medicine, and she felt compelled to explore it further. That night, as Emma sat in her small apartment surrounded by congratulatory cards and flowers, she made a decision that would shape her future. She opened her laptop and began researching medical schools. "I can do more," she said to herself, her voice filled with determination. "I can help even more people." In the weeks that followed, Emma threw herself into the application process. She studied for the MCAT, wrote heartfelt personal statements, and sought letters of recommendation from her professors. Every step brought both challenges and excitement. One afternoon, while volunteering at the clinic, Emma shared her plans with Dr. Anderson, a kind-hearted physician she had come to admire. "Medical school, Emma? That's wonderful." Dr. Anderson smiled. "You have a natural gift for this work. Your patience and compassion are remarkable." Emma blushed at the compliment. "Thank you, Dr. Anderson. I just feel like I can do more, you know? I want to help people in every way I can." As she continued working on her applications, Emma often thought about Mr. Thompson and his generous gift. She hoped that, wherever he was, he would be proud of how she had used his kindness to fuel her dreams and help others. Emma's heart raced as she opened an email from her top-choice medical school. Her hands trembled as she read the first line, "Congratulations. We are pleased to offer you admission." She let out a cry of joy, tears streaming down her face. All her hard work had paid off. The next few months flew by in a whirlwind of preparations. Emma said her goodbyes to her colleagues at the clinic and the restaurant, promising to stay in touch. She packed up her small apartment, feeling both excited and nervous about the new chapter in her life. On her first day of medical school, Emma stood in front of the imposing university building, taking a deep breath to calm her nerves. As she entered the classroom, she was struck by the diversity of her classmates. People from all walks of life, united by a common desire to heal others. The first few weeks were overwhelming. Emma found herself buried in textbooks, struggling to keep up with the intense workload. Late nights became the norm as she pored over anatomy charts and biochemistry formulas. There were moments when she doubted whether she was cut out for this, but then she would remember the patients she had helped as a nurse, and a renewed determination would take hold. One particularly challenging day, Emma sat in the library, fighting back tears of frustration over a difficult concept. A classmate named Alex noticed her distress and offered to help. Together, they worked through the problem, and Emma felt a wave of gratitude for the camaraderie among her peers. As the semester progressed, Emma began to find her rhythm. She formed study groups, learned to manage her time more effectively, and even found moments to volunteer at a local free clinic. It was during one of these volunteer shifts that Emma truly realized she was on the right path. An elderly patient arrived, confused and frightened by her multiple health issues. Emma sat with her, holding her hand and explaining each step of the examination in simple terms. The woman's fear melted away, replaced by trust and gratitude. In that moment, Emma knew that every late night and stressful day had been worth it. Then one evening everything changed. Emma received a phone call from her aunt. Her mother, the woman who had raised her alone and supported her dreams, had suffered a stroke. Emma's heart sank as she rushed to the hospital, her mind racing with worry. When she entered her mother's hospital room, her medical training kicked in. She assessed the monitors and charts, her eyes darting between the numbers and her mother's pale face. The doctors explained that, while her mother's condition was stable, she would need extensive care and rehabilitation. Emma's resolve hardened. She knew she had to be there for her mother, just as her mother had always been there for her. But with her medical studies in full swing, Emma faced a daunting challenge: how to balance her education with caring for her mother. In the days that followed, Emma's life became a whirlwind of activity. She woke up early, studied for a few hours, then went to the hospital to help with her mother's physical therapy. Between classes, she made calls to arrange for home care services and medical equipment. The nights were the hardest. Emma would sit by her mother's bedside, holding her hand and reading aloud from her medical textbooks. Sometimes, her mother would squeeze her hand, and Emma would feel a glimmer of hope. "You need to focus on your studies, sweetheart," her mother whispered one night, her voice weak but full of love. Emma shook her head, tears brimming in her eyes. "You're more important, Mom. We're in this together." As the weeks turned into months, Emma's resilience was tested in ways she never imagined. There were days when the weight of her responsibilities felt unbearable, torn between caring for her ailing mother and chasing her dream of becoming a doctor. Yet, every time she thought about giving up, the kindness of Mr. Thompson and the lives she could impact pulled her back from the edge. Her professors soon noticed the struggle she was quietly carrying. They offered her the flexibility to adjust her schedule when needed, understanding that her load was heavier than most. Her classmates too rallied around her, forming study groups and sharing notes from the lectures she missed. Even her coworkers at the restaurant, where she still worked part-time, stepped up, covering shifts when emergencies arose at home. It seemed everyone recognized the delicate balance Emma was trying to maintain. Her dedication didn't go unnoticed. Dr. Anderson, her favorite professor, became particularly concerned. After one particularly grueling lecture, he pulled her aside. "Emma," he said, his voice laced with genuine worry, "I can see you're burning the candle at both ends. Is everything okay?" Tears welled up in her eyes as she explained her mother's condition, the stress of it all threatening to spill over. Dr. Anderson listened intently, nodding with understanding. "You're doing an incredible job, but you don't have to do it alone," he said softly, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. Word of Emma's situation spread quickly among the faculty, and soon, a support network began to form around her. Dr. Anderson worked with other professors to create a more flexible schedule for Emma, one that allowed her to care for her mother without falling behind in her studies. Her classmates, led by her best friend Sarah, organized study sessions that fit around her chaotic life. "We're in this together," Sarah said one day, wrapping Emma in a tight hug. "Your success is our success." The broader community also stepped up. When Emma's story reached the local newspaper, volunteers from various organizations offered their help. A home healthcare agency provided discounted care for her mother, while a local meal delivery service ensured that Emma had nutritious food waiting for her after long days spent at the hospital and in class. Even the restaurant where she worked pitched in. Her former colleagues organized a fundraiser to help cover her mother's mounting medical expenses. The event, held on a bright Saturday afternoon, saw the entire town come together in support. As Emma stood in the bustling restaurant, surrounded by familiar faces and heartfelt generosity, she was overwhelmed with gratitude. Tears streamed down her face as she thanked everyone for their kindness. "You've always been there for us," said Mrs. Johnson, a regular at the restaurant. "Now it's our turn to be there for you." But Emma's world came crashing down one chilly autumn morning. The call she had dreaded for months finally came. Her mother, her rock and inspiration, had passed away peacefully in her sleep. It felt as though the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. The days that followed were a blur of tears, embraces, and whispered condolences. Emma moved through the motions of planning the funeral with a heavy heart, the weight of her grief nearly unbearable. Standing by her mother's grave, surrounded by friends and family, she had never felt more alone. Yet even in her darkest moment, Emma remembered her mother's words, "No matter what happens, keep moving forward. Your kindness is your strength." Those words echoed in her mind, becoming a lifeline that pulled her back from the brink. Emma returned to her studies, though the path was far from easy. There were days when the pain was so overwhelming that all she wanted to do was crawl into bed and shut out the world. But every time she felt like giving up, she thought of her mother's proud smile and found the strength to keep going. With renewed determination, Emma threw herself into her work. She spent countless hours in the library, poring over medical textbooks and case studies. Her professors noticed a change in her, a newfound focus that hadn't been there before. "Your mother would be so proud of you," Dr. Anderson told her one day after class. Emma nodded, tears shimmering in her eyes, unable to speak. In her spare time, Emma began volunteering even more at the local clinic. She discovered that helping others eased her own grief. Each patient she cared for, each worried family she comforted, felt like a tribute to her mother's memory. And in every act of kindness, she carried her mother's legacy forward, finding solace in the knowledge that her strength was rooted in love. One day, as Emma was comforting a young girl who had just lost her grandmother, she realized something profound. The pain of such a loss might never truly vanish, but it had transformed her. It had deepened her empathy and understanding of others' suffering. "You know," Emma said gently to the tearful girl, "it's okay to be sad. But remember, your grandmother's love will always be with you. She would want you to find happiness and live your life fully." As she spoke, Emma felt a warm glow in her heart, knowing her own mother's presence still guided her steps, inspiring her to be the best doctor and person she could be. Emma's heart raced with anticipation as she approached the worn-down building that housed the free clinic. The peeling paint and faded sign did little to detract from its significance. It was a beacon of hope for the underserved community that had supported her. The familiar scent of disinfectant greeted her as she stepped inside, and she found the waiting room already bustling with patients, their faces etched with worry and fatigue. Taking a deep breath, Emma reminded herself why she was here. "Good morning, everyone," she said, her warm smile radiating through the room. "I'm Dr. Emma, and I'm here to help." The day sped by in a whirlwind of patience. Emma listened attentively to each person's concerns, her gentle touch and kind words putting even the most anxious at ease. From common colds to more serious conditions, she took the time to explain things clearly and patiently. One patient in particular touched Emma deeply. Mrs. Rodriguez, an elderly woman with arthritis, had been delaying her medical appointment because she couldn't afford the medication. Emma's eyes filled with tears as she listened to the woman's story. "Mrs. Rodriguez," Emma said softly, holding the woman's wrinkled hand in hers, "we'll figure this out together, okay? There are programs that can help with the cost of your medication." As Emma worked with the clinic's social worker to find a solution for Mrs. Rodriguez, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. This was why she had become a doctor, to make a real difference in people's lives. By the end of the day, Emma was exhausted but exhilarated. As she packed away her stethoscope and hung up her white coat, she couldn't help but smile. Each patient she had seen, each life she had touched, reaffirmed her commitment to giving back. "Thank you for coming today, Dr. Emma," said the clinic coordinator, gratitude evident in her voice. "You have no idea how much your help means to this community." Emma nodded, her heart swelling with warmth. "I wouldn't want to be anywhere else," she replied sincerely. As Emma walked through the bustling corridors of the medical school, she couldn't help but smile. It had been a long journey from waitress to doctor, and now she was in a position to help others on their own paths. "Dr. Emma?" a voice called out. She turned to see Sarah, a second-year medical student she had been mentoring. Sarah's eyes were sparkling with excitement as she approached. "I got the internship," Sarah exclaimed, her voice bubbling with joy. Emma's heart swelled with pride. "That's wonderful, Sarah. I knew you had it in you." As they discussed Sarah's upcoming internship, Emma noticed a small group of first-year students huddled nearby, looking overwhelmed and lost. She recognized that look all too well. "Come on," Emma said to Sarah. "Let's go say hello." The young students looked up, surprised as Emma and Sarah approached. "Hi," Emma said warmly. "You all look like you could use a friendly face. I'm Dr. Emma and this is Sarah. We've been where you are now." One of the students, a young man with tired eyes, spoke up. "It's much harder than I thought it would be. Sometimes I wonder if I'm cut out for this." Emma's heart went out to him. She remembered feeling the same way not too long ago. "You know," she said gently, "I used to be a waitress in a small-town diner. I dreamed of becoming a doctor, but it seemed impossible." The students listened intently as Emma shared her story, the struggles, the doubts, and the unexpected kindness that changed her life. She told them about the mysterious Mr. Thompson and his generous gift, and how she used it to chase her dreams while continuing to help others. "The road ahead won't be easy," Emma admitted, "but every life you touch, every person you help, it makes all the hard work worthwhile." As Emma spoke, she could see hope rekindling in the students' eyes. They asked questions, shared their own fears and aspirations, and by the end of the conversation they stood a little taller, their spirits lifted. "Remember," Emma said as they prepared to part ways, "your journey is unique. Embrace it, learn from it, and use it to make a difference in the world." Emma's dedication to her studies and community did not go unnoticed. On a sunny afternoon, as she was leaving the free clinic where she volunteered, her phone buzzed with an email notification. Her heart raced as she read the subject line, "Congratulations on your scholarship." With trembling fingers, Emma opened the email. Tears welled up in her eyes as she read about the prestigious scholarship awarded for her outstanding academic achievements and commitment to community service. The scholarship would cover the remainder of her medical school tuition and provide additional funds for research and community outreach projects. Emma's mind raced with possibilities. This scholarship wasn't just about her education. It was an opportunity to make an even greater impact on others' lives. She thought about all the people she could help, all the communities she could serve. That night she called Sarah to share the news. "Oh, Emma," Sarah exclaimed, her voice filled with joy. "I'm so proud of you. You deserve this more than anyone I know." As Emma and Sarah chatted, Emma's excitement grew palpable. She shared her plans for the scholarship funds with fervor, envisioning a mobile health clinic that could reach underserved rural areas. "Think of all the people we could help," Emma said, her voice brimming with enthusiasm. Over the following weeks, Emma threw herself into planning. She met with professors and mentors, seeking advice on how to maximize this opportunity. She researched community needs and healthcare disparities, determined to use her education and resources to make a tangible difference. One day, while working on her plans in the library, Emma overheard a group of students discussing their struggles with medical school debt. Her heart ached for them, recalling her own financial worries not long ago. Without hesitation, Emma approached the group. "Hi," she said warmly. "I couldn't help but overhear. I know how tough it can be to manage medical school costs." The students looked up, surprised by her kindness. Emma shared her own story, from waitress to medical student, and how the scholarship had transformed her life. She offered practical advice on finding scholarships and financial aid, her words filled with encouragement. As she spoke, Emma realized that the scholarship wasn't just about her journey. It was a chance to uplift others, to inspire hope in those struggling. She saw the same determination in their eyes that she had felt in her own heart years ago. Emma's dedication and hard work culminated in her graduating from medical school with honors. Her graduation day was bittersweet, filled with pride and a tinge of sadness as she thought of her mother, who wasn't there to see her achieve her dream. As she walked across the stage to receive her diploma, Emma felt a surge of emotion, knowing that this was just the beginning of her journey to help others. Starting her residency at a bustling city hospital, Emma faced long hours and a demanding schedule, but she thrived in the fast-paced environment. She absorbed knowledge eagerly, determined to become the best doctor she could be. Despite her grueling schedule, Emma never lost sight of her commitment to giving back. She continued to volunteer at the free clinic where she had started years earlier, dedicating her precious free time to helping those in need. The clinic staff welcomed her back with open arms, marveling at how far she had come. Emma also made time to mentor younger medical students, recalling how support had meant to her during her own journey. She organized study groups, offered advice on balancing work and personal life, and shared her experiences with those just starting out. One evening, after a particularly long shift at the hospital, Emma sat down with a group of first-year residents who were feeling overwhelmed. She listened to their concerns with empathy, her kind eyes encouraging them to open up. "I know it can sometimes feel impossible," Emma said softly, "but remember why you're here. Every challenge you face is preparing you to save lives and make a difference." Her words seemed to lift a weight from their shoulders. As they talked, Emma shared stories of her own struggles and triumphs, reminding them that they were not alone on their journey. As Emma advanced in her residency, her exceptional skills and compassionate approach to patient care did not go unnoticed. Her colleagues were impressed by her ability to connect with patients, explaining complex medical issues in a way that was both clear and comforting. Emma's supervisors observed her dedication, often finding her reading medical journals late into the night or checking on patients long after her shift had ended. One day, Dr. Anderson, the chief of medicine, called Emma into his office. Emma's heart raced with anticipation as she entered, wondering about the purpose of the meeting. "Dr. Dela Cruz," he began, using her formal title, "I've been observing your work over the past months and I must say I'm impressed." Emma felt a warm glow spread through her chest at his words. "Thank you, sir," she replied humbly. Dr. Anderson continued, Your commitment to patient care and your medical expertise are exceptional. We've received outstanding feedback from both patients and staff. Emma listened intently, her eyes wide with surprise and gratitude. In fact, Dr. Anderson said, leaning forward, your reputation has spread beyond our hospital. Dr. Samantha Lee from Mercy General reached out to me. They're offering you a position on their cardiology team. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Mercy General was one of the country's most prestigious hospitals. It's an incredible opportunity, Dr. Anderson announced with a hint of pride in his voice. They're impressed with your work and believe you'd be a valuable addition to their team. Emma sat in stunned silence for a moment, overwhelmed by the news. Her mind raced with thoughts of the possibilities this opportunity could bring. Working with world-renowned doctors, access to cutting-edge medical technology, and the chance to help even more patients. I don't know what to say, Emma finally managed to say, her voice thick with emotion. Dr. Anderson smiled warmly. You've earned this, Emma. Your hard work and dedication have paid off. We'll be sad to see you go, but this is an opportunity you shouldn't pass up. With her new position at Mercy General, Emma's career soared to new heights. Even while working alongside some of the top doctors in the country, she never forgot her roots or the kindness that set her on this path. The memory of Mr. Thompson's generous donation and the struggles of her hometown remained close to her heart. One day during a visit back home, Emma was struck by how little had changed. The same restaurant where she had worked was still standing, and many familiar faces greeted her warmly. But she also noticed worried glances and hushed conversations about medical bills and lack of access to healthcare. That night, as Emma lay in her childhood bed, an idea began to take shape. Reflecting on the $1 million Mr. Thompson had given her and how it had enabled her to continue her education, she realized it was time to give back in a meaningful way. Over the following months, Emma worked tirelessly to bring her vision to life. She reached out to former colleagues, sought advice from mentors, and navigated the complex world of healthcare regulations. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of planning and preparation, Emma's free health clinic opened its doors. The clinic was modest, housed in a refurbished storefront on Main Street, but to the people of the town, it was a beacon of hope. Emma stocked it with basic medical equipment and recruited a small team of dedicated healthcare professionals who shared her vision. On opening day, Emma felt nervous as she watched people begin to arrive. There was Mrs. Johnson, who had always struggled to pay for her blood pressure medication, and little Timmy, whose asthma had gone untreated for too long. As Emma began treating her first patients, she experienced a sense of fulfillment unlike anything she had felt before. Here, in this small clinic in her hometown, she was making a real difference in people's lives. Word spread quickly about the compassionate doctor who had returned home to provide free medical care. Soon, the clinic was buzzing with activity, its waiting room filled with grateful patients. As news of Emma's clinic spread through the town and neighboring communities, it caught the attention of a local philanthropist, Mr. Richard Hartley. Looking for a worthy cause to support, Mr. Hartley was moved by Emma's dedication to providing free medical care. One afternoon, he decided to visit the clinic unannounced. He watched as Emma patiently explained a treatment plan to an elderly woman. Her eyes and voice were gentle, and despite the crowded waiting room, Emma took the time to make each patient feel heard and cared for. Touched by what he saw, Mr. Hartley approached Emma after her shift. "Dr. Emma," he said, extending his hand, "I'm Richard Hartley. I've heard wonderful things about your clinic and would like to help." Emma's eyes widened in surprise. She had heard of Mr. Hartley's generosity but never imagined he would be interested in her small clinic. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Hartley," she replied warmly. "What do you have in mind?" Mr. Hartley smiled. "I'd like to make a substantial donation to your clinic. Your work here is truly inspiring, and I want to help you reach even more people in need." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as Mr. Hartley explained his offer. With his donation, the clinic could purchase new medical equipment, hire more staff, and even expand to a larger space, more than Emma had ever dared to hope for. "Mr. Hartley, I don't know what to say," Emma whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "This will change so many lives." The philanthropist gave her hand a gentle pat. "You've already changed many lives, Dr. Emma. I'm just helping you continue your good work." In the weeks that followed, Emma worked tirelessly to put Mr. Hartley's generous donation to good use. The clinic moved to a larger building, allowing them to see more patients and offer a broader range of services. New doctors and nurses joined the team, all inspired by Emma's dedication and compassion. As the clinic continued to grow and thrive, Emma never forgot the small acts of kindness that had set her on this path. One sunny afternoon, as she was finishing up paperwork, Her receptionist knocked on her office door. "Dr. Emma, there's a family here to see you. They don't have an appointment, but they're insisting on speaking with you personally," the receptionist explained. Curious, Emma stepped out to greet the visitors. Her eyes widened in recognition as she saw the family of 4 she had helped at the restaurant years ago. The parents looked healthier and happier, and the children had grown considerably. "It's you," Emma breathed, her heart swelling with emotion. The mother stepped forward, tears shining in her eyes. "Dr. Emma, we've been trying to find you for so long. We wanted to thank you properly for what you did for us that day at the restaurant." Emma's throat tightened as she recalled the struggling family and the small act of kindness that had meant so much to her. "Please come to my office," she said, gesturing for them to follow. Once seated, the father spoke. "Your kindness that day changed everything for us. We were at our lowest point, but your note gave us hope and made us believe there were still good people in the world." The mother nodded, wiping away a tear. "We've kept that note with us. It inspired us to keep going, and now we're doing much better. John got a promotion, I went back to school, and the kids are thriving." Emma listened, her own eyes filling with tears. "I'm so glad to hear that," she said softly. "That day meant a lot to me too. It reminded me why I wanted to become a doctor in the first place." The youngest child, now a teenager, spoke up. "We've been giving back too, Dr. Emma. We volunteer at the local food bank and always try to help others when we can. You taught us how much a small act of kindness can make a difference." Emma's heart swelled with pride and joy. She reached out and shook the teenager's hand. "That's wonderful. You're absolutely right. Every little bit of kindness can have a big impact." Her heart raced with excitement as she glanced around the bustling community center. Today was the health fair she had organized through her clinic, and the turnout was even better than she had hoped. Brightly colored banners adorned the walls, and rows of booths filled the spacious hall, each offering various health screenings and information. At booth 3, Dr. Emma was busy managing a few blood pressure monitors. Her longtime friend and now head nurse, Sarah, shouted out to her as she hurried past. Emma nodded quickly and made her way to the supply room to grab the extra monitors she had missed. Despite the hustle, a smile lingered on Emma's face. The health fair was the culmination of months of meticulous planning and tireless work, but seeing the community come together made it all worthwhile. Back in the main hall, Emma wove through the crowd, pausing to chat with volunteers and participants. She noticed an elderly couple hesitating near the cholesterol screening booth. "Hello," Emma said warmly as she approached them. "Have you had your cholesterol checked recently?" The woman shook her head. "Oh, we don't want to be a bother. There are so many people here who need it more than we do." Emma gently placed a hand on the woman's arm. "Everyone's health is important. Let me explain the process. It only takes a few minutes and could make a significant difference." As Emma guided the couple to the booth, snippets of conversation floated around her. People were praising the fair, expressing gratitude for the free services, and sharing health tips they had learned. The positive energy in the room was palpable throughout the day. Emma moved from station to station, offering advice, comforting nervous patients, and ensuring everything ran smoothly. She even took time to demonstrate proper hand-washing techniques to a large group of laughing children. As the afternoon wore on, Emma found herself at the diabetes screening booth, where she noticed a middle-aged man looking anxious. "Is everything okay, sir?" she asked, approaching him. The man sighed deeply. "I've been feeling exhausted lately and I'm worried it might be diabetes. But I've been avoiding tests because I can't afford the medical bills." Emma's eyes softened with understanding. "That's exactly why we're here today. We'll do your screening and no matter the result, we'll discuss your options. There are programs that can help." Emma's tireless efforts and compassionate work at her free health clinic didn't go unnoticed. On a sunny morning, as she prepared for another busy day at the clinic, her phone buzzed with an incoming call from an unknown number. "Hello, Dr. Emma speaking," she answered, balancing the phone between her ear and shoulder while sorting through patient files. "Dr. Emma, this is Janet from National Health Today. We'd like to feature you in our next issue about healthcare heroes. Your story of kindness and dedication has caught our attention," the voice on the other end explained. Emma's eyes widened in surprise. "Oh wow, I'm honored, but I'm just doing what I believe is right," she replied humbly. The article in National Health Today was just the beginning. Soon, Emma's story spread like wildfire across various media platforms. Local news stations aired segments about her journey from waitress to doctor and her commitment to giving back to her community. National newspapers lauded her innovative approach to healthcare accessibility. As Emma's story reached more people, support for her clinic poured in from all corners of the country. Large and small donations arrived daily, allowing Emma to expand her clinic services and reach even more people in need. One afternoon, as Emma reviewed the latest batch of donation letters, Sarah burst into her office, waving a tablet excitedly. "Emma, you won't believe this. You're trending on social media," Sarah exclaimed, showing Emma a screen filled with heartfelt messages and the hashtag #BeLikeEmma. Emma felt a rush of mixed emotions, gratitude, humility, and a renewed sense of purpose. She knew this recognition was not just about her but about the power of kindness and the impact one person could have on an entire community. Amidst the bustling clinic, Emma took a moment to reflect on her journey. From that first act of kindness in the restaurant to now running a nationally recognized free health clinic, she realized that each small act of compassion had the power to create waves of change. As Emma's story continued to inspire people across the nation, invitations to speak at various events began to flood in. Medical conferences, community meetings, and even university graduation ceremonies all sought to hear Emma's remarkable journey. Initially, the thought of public speaking made Emma's stomach churn with nerves. She was accustomed to caring for patients one-on-one, not addressing large crowds. But she knew sharing her story could inspire others to make a difference, so she overcame her fears and accepted the invitations. Her first talk was at a local medical conference. As Emma stepped onto the stage, her hands trembled slightly. She took a deep breath and began to speak. "I never imagined I'd be here today," she started, her voice growing stronger with each word. "My journey began with a simple act of kindness in a small-town restaurant." As Emma recounted her story from hard-working waitress to respected doctor, the audience hung on every word. She spoke about the challenges she faced, the kindness she received, and the unwavering determination that fueled her dreams. "Kindness has the power to change lives," Emma said, her eyes shining with emotion. "It changed mine, and I've seen it change countless lives in our community." The response to Emma's speech was overwhelming. Doctors, nurses, and medical students approached her afterward, sharing how her words had touched them and renewed their commitment to compassionate care. Encouraged by this positive reception, Emma continued to accept speaking engagements. At a community event in her hometown, she saw familiar faces in the audience, including some she had helped over the years. "Each of you has the power to make a difference," Emma told the crowd, her voice filled with conviction. "Whether through a career in healthcare or simply being kind to your neighbors, every act of compassion creates waves of change." As Emma spoke at more events, she grew more comfortable sharing her story. She learned to weave anecdotes from her clinic, illustrating the real impact of accessible healthcare and community support. At a university graduation ceremony, Emma addressed a sea of eager young faces. "Your journey is just beginning," she said with a warm smile. "Remember, success isn't just about personal achievement, it's about lifting others along the way." With each speaking engagement, Emma's message of kindness and compassion spread further. She inspired medical professionals to approach their work with renewed empathy, motivated students to pursue careers in community service, and encouraged ordinary citizens to seek opportunities to help others. Inspired by her own journey and the generosity that had transformed her life, Emma continued to spread her message of hope and compassion, proving that one person's kindness could indeed change the world. Emma decided to establish a scholarship fund for aspiring nurses and doctors from underserved communities. She vividly remembered the struggle of chasing her dreams while barely making ends meet. With careful planning and the support of her network, Emma created the Kindness in Action Scholarship Fund. This initiative aimed to provide financial assistance to promising medical students who lacked the resources to continue their education. Emma reached out to local high schools and community colleges, spreading the word about the scholarship opportunity. She wanted to ensure that deserving students knew there was support available for them. As applications began to roll in, Emma was moved by the stories she read. Each applicant had a unique journey filled with challenges and dreams that echoed her own past. She saw herself in these hopeful, hard-working individuals who only wanted to make a difference in their communities. With the help of a small committee, Emma carefully reviewed each application. They selected recipients based not only on academic merit but also on their commitment to community service and their potential to give back. The day Emma awarded the first round of scholarships was one she would never forget. Standing before a group of bright students and their families, her heart swelled with emotion. "I'm here today because someone believed in me and showed me kindness," Emma said, her voice brimming with warmth. "Now it's my turn to believe in you." As she handed out the scholarship certificates, she saw the same mixture of disbelief, joy, and determination in the recipient's eyes that she had felt when she received the transformative gift from Mr. Thompson years earlier. One recipient, a young woman named Maria, approached Emma with tears in her eyes. "I never thought I'd be able to afford nursing school," Maria said, her voice trembling. "You've given me hope for a future I didn't think was possible." Emma hugged Maria tightly, feeling the circle of kindness come full circle. She knew these students would touch countless lives just as she had. Emma's journey had come full circle. As she sat in the same restaurant where her story began, she couldn't help but smile at the young waitress bustling between tables. The girl's name was Lily, and Emma saw a familiar spark in her eyes, a determination and dream she once had. In recent weeks, Emma had become a regular at the restaurant, not just for the coffee but to observe Lily. She noticed how the young woman treated each customer with genuine kindness, even on the busiest days. One quiet afternoon, Emma decided it was time to reach out. As Lily refilled her coffee cup, Emma gently asked if she had a moment to talk. Lily's eyes widened in surprise. "Of course, Dr. Emma. Is everything okay?" Emma patted the seat next to her. "It's all right. I just wanted to talk to you about something important." Lily sat down, curiosity evident on her face. Emma took a deep breath and began. "I couldn't help but notice how hard you work. It reminds me of myself when I was your age. Do you have any dreams beyond this diner?" Lily's eyes lit up. "Actually, I do. I've always wanted to be a nurse," she said, but her smile faded. "But I barely make ends meet and nursing school seems impossible." Emma reached out and took Lily's hand. "I completely understand. I was once in your place, but I want you to know it's not impossible. With hard work and a little help, you can achieve your dreams." Lily looked at Emma, hope blooming in her eyes. "Really?" Emma spent the next hour sharing her story with Lily, from her days as a waitress to her current role as a doctor. She told Lily about the scholarship fund she had created and offered to help her apply. "I believe in you, Lily," Emma said warmly. "I want to help you pursue your dream just as someone once helped me." Tears welled up in Lily's eyes. "I don't know what to say, Dr. Emma. Thank you so much." Emma smiled, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment. She knew that by mentoring Lily, she wasn't just changing one life but potentially many others in the future. As Emma left the restaurant that day, her heart was full. She walked through the familiar streets of her hometown, memories flooding back with every step. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the buildings and trees. Emma found herself in the local park, where she often sat on a bench watching families play and couples stroll hand in hand. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves and Emma closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. In that moment, she felt overwhelmed with gratitude. Her mind drifted back to the day she received that life-changing check from Mr. Thompson. She remembered the shock, the disbelief, and then the determination to use that gift to help others. Emma thought about all the lives she had touched since then. The patients she had treated, the students she had mentored, and now Lily, the young waitress with dreams so similar to her own. Each act of kindness, no matter how small, had created ripples of hope and change. She opened her eyes and looked at the colorful sky. Emma realized her journey had been more than just becoming a doctor. It was about the power of compassion, the strength found in helping others, and the beautiful cycle of giving back. A sense of peace washed over her. She had not only fulfilled her own dreams but had also created opportunities for others to pursue theirs. The scholarship fund Emma established would continue to support aspiring healthcare professionals for years to come. As the last rays of the sun faded, Emma rose from the bench feeling rejuvenated and ready to face whatever challenges tomorrow might bring. Her story was far from over, but she knew each chapter would be filled with kindness, hope, and an unwavering belief in the goodness of people. If you enjoyed this story, leave a comment below, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. See you in the next video.